BBC, we select 3 out of the 12, and we have a project, a budget in order to be able to make the film. And we make the film, and then it's broadcast on BBC, which means that the filmmaker not only has the experience of making a film for a well-known broadcaster, but also obviously have a credit on their biography that, you know, they've made something for television, which will help them to then go back to other broadcasters and start kind of selling themselves as filmmakers. So we've been doing that for a few years, and again, it's been really interesting, the results. And what we are doing is not just helping the filmmakers to work with the BBC, but we're also trying to get BBC to accept a different form of filmmaking. So again, we basically working on both sides. The BBC to think differently, to think of creative talent in a more open way than the normal BBC way, and our filmmakers to learn to work with something as imposing as a broadcaster. So we're training both sides. We are kind of pig in the middle, kind of, you know, training everyone at the same time. And the way we get the BBC to agree to slightly be different than their normal commissioning is because we always premiere the films that we make for them at a festival first. And for the BBC, it's very important because it shows that they are part of the community. It shows that, you know, they are part of kind of, you know, international kind of festival. So they just give us that little window in order to go to festivals, show the film, and then the film gets broadcast. So the second fiddle is feature documentaries. Now, feature documentaries are really important because they are longer forms, kind of films who are going to be part of the archive of Scotland, but also of the world. They are films who are going to last longer than a short. They become references, they become kind of, you know, part of masterclasses kind of, you know, in the future. So we felt that it was really important to develop feature documentary filmmakers in Scotland. Now, it means working at international level. A feature documentary is very expensive to make because it takes several years to make. So you need to be able to pay the people working on the film for, you know, for many years. So you can't do it with just kind of, you know, one fund really. You need to apply to many funds. The best tactic to apply to many funds is to have many co-producers. So we train producers in Scotland to work at international level, to understand the rules of the game, and it is like a game basically, but also to get them connected, to get them to network in different countries in order to be able to access the right collaborators. So for that, we've run courses in Scotland, but we also take our filmmakers to different countries in order to meet different filmmakers. So we've got delegations of filmmakers going to major festivals. So for example, this year we had a delegation to IDFA, Amsterdam Documentary Festival, which is a major documentary festival in the world. We had a delegation going to Hot Docs in Toronto. Of course, it had to be virtual because that was last month and we couldn't go physically. We had a delegation to CPH Docs in Copenhagen, which is also a very interesting festival. Again, it was virtual. And in a couple of weeks' time, we're going to have a delegation going to Sheffield in order to meet up international producers, international broadcasters, international funds, etc. It is really, really important for filmmakers to move about and to meet people. And of course, this is where it makes kind of, a big difference if you come from a rich country or a poor country. Because a rich country, they grants that you can apply for and help you to be able to attend those festivals and those markets. It doesn't come cheap. You've got to pay for the festival pass. You've got to pay for your flight, you've got to pay for your hotel, kind of, etc. So it's an expensive activity. But of course, it's an important activity because it's really that way that you meet the right collaborators, that you become known to everyone in order for people to trust you with the money that you're asking. It's impossible to receive money when you are not known by them. So there are two ways of doing it, and we slowly kind of developed it in Scotland. We developed a group of producers to be known internationally, and it means that those producers can then represent the producers who can't afford to go to those places, or who are kind of, too young in the same, their first film, etc. So we become exec producers saying, yes, they knew talent, but yes, it's an interesting film, and yes, it should be financed. So that way, nobody in Scotland is left alone. At whatever level you are, there's always a mentor kind of, above you, who is going to help you to take the next step, who is going to guide you. And that tends to happen through Scottish Documentary Institute. We basically the mums and the dads of everyone in our family, to make sure that everyone is okay. Anyone kind of, even people who can't afford it, kind of, if you've got some talent, we will look after you. We'll make sure that we'll help you, to move forward in your career. It doesn't mean that you're going to get rich. It doesn't mean that sometimes you're not even going to barely make a living out of it. But it means that your voice, whoever you are, from whatever remote community or remote kind of ethnic group you are in Scotland, will be represented. We truly believe Scotland is about this mix of people, not just kind of one class of people. But you've got to make it happen. It's no miracle that it's always the same people kind of, reaching the top. So you've got to kind of make sure that we push people forward and get them there, really. So we feel that's part of our job, to create that synergy between Scotland and the rest of the world, as well as bringing the rest of the world to Scotland, which also helps kind of, Scottish filmmakers to meet. So for that, once a year, we organized a pitching forum. That pitching forum is not dedicated to Scottish filmmakers. We make it international. So our Scottish filmmakers have to compete with the rest of the world in order to perform at that pitching forum. It's important that we don't just promote Scottish filmmakers for the sake of it, but we promote Scottish filmmakers ready to be at the same level at international level. So the trust of people coming to Scotland, or the trust of people investing in Scottish films, remains knowing that it's the same quality as what they will find anywhere else. So the brand of Scottish films remains kind of, intact. Our duty as an institute is to make sure that we get to that quality. but then we don't compromise.